Hi. Okay, so I did my chapter on chapter 8 in Ralph Fletcher's writing book, and this chapter was all about endings, chapter 8 endings. So I really appreciated this chapter, especially because endings are my favorite in most writing pieces. It's where I have a chance, for example, for me as a writer, to either surprise the reader or take a twist in my writing that it's unexpected. And this chapter really covers all of those tips on improving writing. So in my notes that I have right here on the chapter that I just read, so from the girl, from the story that was mentioned first, it was important, Fletcher highlighted that the most important piece of writing is that if the ending fails, all else fails, because that's really the conclusion of what you've just wrote about and want your readers to process. So the best way to end your story, it's up to you. He poses us with the question while reading this chapter: what's the best way to end your story? Surprise endings, those are inevitable, but they all really start with the author surprising him or herself, and that's what leads into the reader's work. So that was from the segment on the girl and the story that he had mentioned. And then the part on circular endings. So he likes to explain how endings are also can be known as the beginning. Readers will find themselves rereading and wondering what they just read, and seeing if they missed anything or if the tone was different the first time around. Things tend to change if you reread a piece of writing twice or 3 times or 4 times. I know that's the case for me. Sometimes I read something and I'm like, I have no idea what I just read. So I have to do it a couple more times to really comprehend it. He talks about the ambiguous ending. And he has mixed feelings in regards to this ending. He talks about the grandpa story, and I really like this because he said it's children friendly. So he used this, or someone used this to explain to their classroom that there was a grandpa who was in a green chair, I believe, or he was often feeling green. I kind of forget on the top of my head, but green was the color and the emotion and the feeling of sick. He was sick, and then one day he just wasn't there. And this left the students pondering and wondering, well, what happened to him? And this can lead into discussions with your students on where did he go? Why did this happen? Will he come back? And then children are allowed to bring in their own experiences and bounce off of stories like Grandpa, for example. There's no correct interpretation of this. Fletcher states, and that students can defend and discuss their own interpretations, and there's just no right or wrong. Everyone has their own opinion, and it's valid, and it allows their brains to really explore new possibilities. The poignant ending. So this is one of my favorite stories, Charlotte's Web. I always watched this as a kid. So I liked how he brought up the last paragraph of the story, and how the ending was, a bit of realization and observation for the author. And Fletcher even said it was just like the jigsaw, what we're about to do next. So, without an ending, the story isn't complete. Just like a jigsaw puzzle, the pieces don't fit together whole if the ending isn't there. And then he also talks about the father story, how the character, never had a father figure. He always longed for his father. And then one day, he realized that he can be, I'm just going into the article really quickly, that he could be the best father he chose to be. He could have a child of his own and, create the father figure that he wished he once had. And then lastly, the ironic ending, the Toll Booth woman. This was interesting. I love irony. It's like one of my favorite things to write about when I write. It's such a powerful trait and emotion, and I really enjoy working with irony when I write too, especially in a lot of my pieces that I've written in past semesters too. So the Toll Booth woman, the ending leaves you in the unknown. You know, if he's delusional, they state that, you know, he's clearly delusional because he doesn't even really know this woman. He's just basing it off of his feelings and delusions. And if he actually does have a chance with this woman, we don't know, because the irony is, you know, she's not even mentioned. Like, her voice isn't even put into the story. We don't know what she's feeling. We don't even know if she's real. She could not even be real. He could be all a pigment of his imagination. We never hear her side, if there even is a her. So that's how I looked at it. Ironic endings are the best. I love them. I was really happy I got chosen for this chapter by you, because endings are my favorite in writing, and I'm not being biased because I got chose for this group, but I really enjoy endings. So, okay. So yeah, that was just my examples, tips, and tricks of how to improve my writing, and now I'm gonna go try to improve my draft. Thanks.